Hello, No Coach listeners. Welcome to episode 51. If you feed it, it will probably keep coming back to you. I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg. Now, currently, we live in Sydney and we have a smallish backyard, which is more than many. And a few weeks back, I baked something that, didn't go particularly well. And my hubby Jeremy scraped it outside, and then the birds had a feast. And then the following day, he opened the door, I can't remember for what reason, and the birds appeared again. And he's like, "Oh, the birds are here. I better give him some scraps. I feel bad." And next thing you know, it's a couple of weeks later, and whenever we open the door, we're not attacked. They're not like in our faces or anything, but there's this sense of guilt if I open the door, like to go to hang the washing on the line or to go and sit outside in the winter sun. The birds are there, like waiting for their meal. And this has me thinking this afternoon when I went outside, it was a glorious warm day for a winter. In the afternoon, this morning was cold. The birds were waiting. If you feed it, it will probably keep coming back to you. Now, in the case of birds in the backyard, that's a very obvious physical example. Where else in our lives does this happen? If you think about, social media, your news feed is curated by what you click. And this always entertains me when people get really annoyed by something and say, "I don't know how this ended up in my feed," and comment on it, because the more you comment on it, the more it will show up in your feed. You are literally feeding it, with your energy. Unlike the physical birds in the backyard, it's the algorithm and, things seeing what you interact with, thinking, well, we want to see more of this. And we get to decide what we give our energy to. I did an episode, I can't remember which one now. This is episode 51. There's been a lot of them. But where I spoke about how many of us end up having the same conversation with the same people, day in, day out, week in, week out. But we are not passive. We are participating in this conversation. If we were like, hold up, I've heard this 5 times before, let's chat about something else today. Like, we get to steer that conversation. We don't have to continue to give our energy to old stories. That was then. That was a previous version of us. We cannot give our energy to things. Like if we see a disagreement breaking out online, or if it's something we're trying to do and our mind immediately goes to, I've done this before and it didn't work. And what are we doing in that moment? We're feeding that story that I can't do this. I haven't been successful before. This is for other people and not for me, and so on and so forth. So my invitation for you today is to notice, what are you feeding? Ask yourself, what am I feeding throughout the day today? Whether it's when you're annoyed in traffic and grumbling about being stuck in traffic, whether it's you're scrolling and you're seeing some crap that you don't want to see, or whether it's actual physical birds looking at you like, where's my food? What am I feeding? What am I giving my energy to? What am I inadvertently participating in? When we're in like, oh, I've heard this story 5 times before, or I know exactly what this person's going to say before I answer the phone. How am I inadvertently participating in this and encouraging it and feeding it and giving it more of my energy? And what do I want to give my energy to instead? And how can I start that today? Anyway, that's a short, sweet one for you today. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.